I've made videos about all sorts of scams, but this is probably the most evil one I've seen yet. And even worse, it's tricky enough where even the smartest people, like you watching this video, are at risk for it, unless you know about it and how to spot it, which I'll explain. So what is the scam? Well, it's called virtual kidnapping. I've actually mentioned it before, but figured it really deserves its own video. And there's two main types of these, I would say. A low-tech and a newer high-tech version that you especially have to be watching out for. The high-tech version involves a scammer using brand new and easily accessible voice cloning technology to literally steal your voice and spoof your phone number, then use that to scam your friends and family. And in some of the worst ways possible, too. And you can imagine, if someone gets a phone call seemingly from someone they know's number, and when they pick up, it's their voice, the possibilities are endless for where they could go with this scam and trick someone into doing something. So the exact technique will vary, but always at the end, they're going to end up asking you for money. A lot of times this involves them saying that you're in jail and you need bail money, but the scariest way is they'll call up friends and family pretending to be you in some kind of urgent distress, such as you're actively being kidnapped and you're like with the hostage taker. Now with the low-tech version of the scam, which I'll explain later, it basically just involves someone in the background pretending to be you, but you can't really hear them very well. The scammer just says that it's the person you know. But with the latest technology, with just a few seconds of voice sample, they can literally clone your voice and then use that to say whatever they want. Now, at this very moment, I believe that to get a good cloned voice, it takes about 30 seconds of sample voice, but to get something that's passable enough over the phone, probably a lot less than that. But there already are new techniques that just aren't public yet that really do just take a couple of seconds, like this one researched by Microsoft. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. The samples and examples are really crazy. And you better believe that a technique like that will be easily available for anyone very soon. I would guess within 1 year. You might be thinking, well, where are they going to get a sample of my voice from? Well, possibly your voicemail for starters. And if you post anything online, even one video could be enough. A lot of times if you're at some kind of conference, maybe you do some speaking or even some public conference call or something like that could be used. And for someone like me, well, I guess I'm just beyond help. But even still, just like you, the main thing I can do is to make sure that everyone I know knows about this scam, so they'll be on guard for it. Now, before I continue with the low-tech but still very effective variation of the scam, I want to thank today's sponsor, Bitdefender, and their product, Bitdefender Premium Security. Very on topic for this video. More than just an antivirus, Bitdefender Premium Security is a complete security suite covering all major platforms: Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. It's highly rated by independent labs, and very recently, in January 2023, it was named Product of the Year by AV Comparatives, and named Best Protection for Consumer Users and Best Android Security for Consumer Users by AV Test in March 2022. Included is Bitdefender Total Security, which has a wide array of protection features, such as network threat prevention, which can stop attacks before they begin by analyzing suspicious network activities and blocking malware and botnet-related URLs, exploits, and brute force attacks. And these days, real-time protection is absolutely essential, which Bitdefender has, of course, with protection against all sorts of viruses and trojans to ransomware and zero-day exploits. It also has multi-layer ransomware protection and web attack prevention to filter and block malicious websites. Bitdefender Premium Security also has a bunch of other privacy features, such as their premium VPN with unlimited VPN traffic and a password manager to secure your passwords, credit card info, and other sensitive data. There's even webcam protection, microphone protection, and an anti-tracker browser extension. So it's got you totally covered. Be sure to check the link in the description and protect your devices with Bitdefender Premium Security, and there's also even a 30-day free trial, so definitely check it out. And with all that being said, let's continue. All right, now on to the low-tech variation of the scam, which is still very popular because it still is effective. In this one, basically there will probably be two scammers, one kind of in the background and one on the phone. The one in the background will pretend to be your loved one or friend, and they won't really be very audible. You'll only be able to hear them pretending to cry and scream and stuff like that, while the scammer on the phone will be yelling at you, trying to keep the pressure up. While on the call, they will go to great lengths to get you to not hang up the call. They don't want you calling anyone else or calling back the person and realizing that it was a spoofed call. And they'll use the usual scare tactics like don't hang up, don't call the police, or don't tell anyone, or I'm gonna hurt them even more, stuff like that. In this one, they're simply trying to scare you as much as possible and will hurl every threat imaginable at you unless you, of course, pay up with this fake ransom. So knowing about the scam, if you ever do get a call like this, there are actually a few ways you can relatively easily check and verify that it is fake. One thing you could do is send a text message to the phone, and of course the scammer won't get it, so you can say, read back the text I sent, or I'm not going to give you anything. And of course, the scammer will just lobby more threats at you, but of course, if they were real, then they'd want to get paid. They'd probably just do it to verify it's real. Also, if you have another phone line or someone near you that can also call the friend separately, you could do that. You could even test the scammer and say, hey, I'm going to hang up and call back to make sure this isn't spoofed, and if you're the real deal, I'll pay you double. And I mean, what scammer wouldn't want to go for that kind of deal? But of course, they won't. They'll want you to not hang up under any circumstance. But only rely on this hang up and call back method if you are on a cell phone, not a landline, because there is another type of scam called a delayed disconnect scam that I've talked about before. Basically, how this works is with some phone companies, if it's on a landline, if you hang up the phone, but the person on the other end doesn't hang up the phone, then it will keep the call connected. So when you pick up the phone again to dial again, you'll still be talking to that person and not realize it. But that doesn't happen on a cell phone. And I'll put that link popping up at the top if you haven't seen it already. It's definitely really interesting. And there's plenty of other strategies that scammers may use in conjunction with these type of scams. For example, they'll look on social media and may target people specifically on vacation. Because, you know, for a lot of people, if they travel out of the country, you know, their friends and family are going to be sort of on edge and worried about their safety a little bit in the first place. So if someone gets a phone call from someone they know is on vacation and they say they've been kidnapped, well, they might just be scared enough to believe it. Or they may not even impersonate friends and family. They may impersonate your boss or another coworker and say, hey, I need you to transfer this money for an invoice payment. Just send it to this bank account and it'll be good. So what are the best ways to protect against these types of scams going into the future? Well, the biggest one is simply tell everyone you know about it. I think a lot of people have not realized just how advanced AI is becoming and so fast. I mean, this was not even possible even a few months ago. So I bet a lot of people are going to be caught off guard, not just for this scam, but ones we can't even imagine yet. You may also want to come up with an emergency password that only you and your friends know. I think that's probably been some good advice even in the past years, even just as a way to alert friends and family that something's wrong without making it obvious. And third, kind of related to this, I should mention, if you have any services you use, like banks, that have that voice verification feature, I would go and disable that immediately because it is no longer secure at all. There's already been articles of people who cloned their own voice and it was able to easily bypass any kind of voice verification. Doesn't work anymore. So really just be aware of this new AI technology and always be suspicious if someone asks you to send them money, no matter who it is. Why don't you let me know down in the comments if you or anyone you know has ever come across this scam in real life, or maybe in the future you'll be watching this and it's a super common thing, who knows. And thanks again to Bitdefender for sponsoring this video. Be sure to visit the link in the description and check out Bitdefender Premium Security to protect your devices. If you want to keep watching, the next video I recommend is right here, where I talk about a new credit card scam that involves the contactless or tap to pay feature a lot of credit cards have. So definitely check that out, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.